Hey, Lions Nation! We're back with another exclusive video bringing you all the latest news about our beloved Detroit Lions. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss anything about the team. Now, let's get into the news. When the Detroit Lions announced the acquisition of Joey BOSA, analysts rushed to break the story, fans rushed to celebrate, and the league rushed to recalculate the balance of power, but Detroit itself stood still, as though the city felt something deeper stirring beneath the concrete. Something old waking in the shadows of Ford Field. This was not a trade. This was a shift in the Earth's rotation. Joey BOSA did not arrive like a new piece of a defensive scheme. He arrived like a fracture in the natural order the night he landed in Detroit. The sky bruised purple with clouds so heavy they hung low over the skyline, and thunder rolled in slow, guttural rumbles that seemed to follow him from the airport to the facility. Security cameras caught him stepping out of the car, but the footage glitched, frames skipping as though the lens itself recoiled from the energy around him. Staff members described a sudden pressure in the air, like the world had inhaled sharply and forgotten how to exhale. In the locker room, the moment he crossed the threshold, the overhead lights dimmed to a deep, humming glow. Electrical interference, they called it, though no one could explain the metallic ringing that followed. The defensive unit watched him enter, with a mix of reverence and fear, as if instinct itself recognized the arrival of a predator. Some players swore the room temperature dropped by several degrees. Others insisted it wasn't cold they felt, but a vibration. A low-frequency pulse that seemed to radiate from the floorboards. Coaches tried to shake his hand casually, yet every grip lasted a fraction long. Not out of formality, but because something about his presence made letting go feel like stepping off a ledge. Film rooms became silent chapels when BOSA's highlight clips played snap after snap of quarterbacks swallowed whole by his relentless pursuit. Each hit landing with the inevitability of a falling blade, but this was different. This was darker. Detroit didn't just get Joey BOSA, they got something that followed him. Something that lingered in the corners of the rooms he walked through. Something reflected in the glass walls of the facility. Long after he'd passed, during his first walkthrough on the turf, trainers reported strange readings on the field sensors, irregular electromagnetic spikes, sudden static charges, warped digital logs. When BOSA crouched into his stance, the turf under him vibrated faintly, like a deep growl rippling through the ground. And when he burst forward for the first time in Honolulu blue, every spectator felt the shockwave, not physically, not exactly, but in their ribs, in their teeth, in their thoughts. Jared Goff, watching from the sideline, muttered, "It feels like the field bends for him." He didn't say it twice. In the quiet hours after practice, janitors found marks on the blocking sleds, gouges, deep ones, too deep for metal. Equipment crew insisted the dents weren't there the day before, yet no one questioned BOSA. No one dared. Detroit had felt strange forces gather when Derrick Henry arrived, and stranger still when Saquon Barkley stepped into the building. But BOSA's presence was different, denser, heavier, ancient in a way that defied language. It was as if the defense itself had grown a heartbeat, slow and monstrous, sensing with BOSA's every inhale, behind closed doors. The coaching staff whispered questions they refused to put on paper. Was this just a player? Or was Detroit assembling something no franchise had ever dared to construct? Something that blurred the line between team and entity, something awakened by violence, sharpened by intention, and rooted in a destiny far beyond football. And as BOSA walked the halls with quiet steps that echoed louder than footsteps should, everyone understood that the Lions hadn't simply acquired dominance, they had invited something unstoppable into the heart of their franchise. Before we move on, take a second to drop a like and subscribe. That way, you'll stay up to date with every exclusive Lions update, and you'll even have a chance to win an official Detroit Lions jersey. Let's keep going. By the time the preseason loomed, the atmosphere surrounding the Lions' defense had grown so charged that visitors felt uneasy stepping inside the building. Reporters noted that the air tasted metallic during interviews with the defensive line, as if the very oxygen was thickening in anticipation of what was coming. When practices began, the phenomenon escalated into something impossible to ignore. During 11-on-11 drills, BOSA moved with a precision that felt less like strategy and more like prophecy, diagnosing plays before the ball even left the center's hand. Quarterbacks facing him grew jittery, their throws sailing high or short as if instinct screamed that running the play properly was dangerous. Offensive linemen complained of hallucinations, dark shapes flitting at the corner of their vision, phantom footsteps closing in inches behind them. Coaches dismissed it as fatigue until one lineman collapsed during a drill, swearing he felt hands grabbing at him from the shadows, even though BOSA hadn't touched him. During scrimmages, the air around BOSA rippled in a way that fans in the stands describe as heat distortion, but cold somehow, a contradiction that made stadium technicians check the lighting repeatedly. In the weight room, machines short-circuited when he approached, and mirrors fogged from the center outward even though the room was kept cool. Technicians ran diagnostics for hours. They found nothing. When film staff reviewed practice footage, they noticed something even more unsettling: BOSA's reflection in metal surfaces and windows lagged by a fraction of a second behind his movements. It wasn't the camera issue, the effect was visible even to the naked eye. During late-night training sessions, teammates started referring to him in hushed tones, not out of disrespect, but out of the instinctive caution one gives to storms or deep waters. And as defensive schemes adjusted around him, Detroit's identity shifted. Plays became sharper, heavier. Safeties moved like they were drawn toward him. Linebackers timed their blitzes with uncanny synergy, following rhythms no coach called out loud. It was as if BOSA was the gravitational center of a new defensive force, one that bent reality just enough to give Detroit an edge that felt supernatural. When the Lions took the field for their first public scrimmage under stadium lights, the crowd felt it immediately. The quiet, not the usual hush of anticipation, but a silence so heavy it pressed against the chest. BOSA stood at the line of scrimmage, and something about the way he lowered into his stance made even seasoned fans hold their breath. The ball snapped, and everything that followed erased any doubt that Detroit had stepped into something monstrous. BOSA exploded off the line with a velocity that seemed impossible, slipping through blockers like a blade through water. The quarterback didn't even finish his drop before BOSA was on him, ending the play with a hit that echoed through the stadium like a door slamming shut in the dark. Commentators stuttered through cliches: elite, unblockable, game-changing, but none of the words felt adequate for what everyone had just witnessed. This wasn't dominance, this was inevitability incarnate. This was gravity with a heartbeat. And as the Lions' defense tightened around BOSA, like an organism adapting to its apex predator, Detroit fans felt an unfamiliar sensation prickling beneath their skin. Fear and excitement merging into one. Joey BOSA wasn't just reinforcing the defense, he was transforming it into something vast, something ancient, something alive. And the league would learn soon enough that Detroit had not built a roster, they had summoned an army. Forged from shadows, thunder, and inevitability, BOSA was no longer simply part of the Lions. He was the pulse running through their veins, the force rewriting their destiny. The storm crouched at the line of scrimmage, and this season, every quarterback in the league would learn that when Detroit said they had achieved total dominance, those words were not a boast, they were a warning. We bring you the latest Lions news every single day, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And of course, drop a comment below with your thoughts on today's news. Your voice makes a difference for Lions Nation. See you in the next video.